The door to the sauna hissed shut behind us, sealing in the heat like a promise I never asked for. And in that instant, Mr. Harlan's hand brushed my shoulder not by accident, but with a weight that cracked open something wild inside me. I was 19, lost in the haze of summer boredom in our sleepy Ohio suburb, crashing at my best friend Jake's place more nights than not, when his dad, this towering, quiet force of a man, looked at me like I was the only air left in the room. Sweat already beaded on my skin, but it was his gaze that made me burn, pulling me into a secret that would unravel everything I thought I knew about desire, betrayal, and the fragile line between friendship and forbidden fire. That summer of 2015 felt like it stretched forever, the kind of Midwestern heat wave that turned the air thick and the nights restless. Jake and I had been inseparable since freshman year at Westerville High, the golden boy quarterback, with his easy grin and effortless charm. Me, the shadow, tagging along, sketching comics in the bleachers while he threw perfect spirals. We were both 18 then, on the cusp of college applications and the big, scary world beyond cornfields and Friday night lights. Jake's house was my escape. A sprawling ranch style on the edge of town with a backyard pool and a basement man cave stocked with his dad's old vinyl records. Mr. Harlan Tom, as he insisted I call him after a few too many backyard barbecues, was the kind of dad every kid envied, widowed young, raising Jake alone after his wife lost her battle with cancer when Jake was 12. He worked construction, came home with calloused hands and stories of skyscrapers in Chicago, his voice a low rumble that made you lean in. I'd always noticed him, in that distant way you notice thunder on the horizon, powerful, but not yours to chase. At 45, Tom Harlan was built like the bridges he helped erect, solid oak frame, broad chest dusted with silver-flecked hair, eyes the color of storm clouds over Lake Erie. He moved with a quiet confidence, laughing at Jake's dumb jokes while flipping burgers. But there was a sadness in him, etched in the lines around his mouth, the way he'd linger over a beer on the porch after dark. Jake never talked about it much, just shrugged off questions about his mom with a "she's watching from somewhere." Man, me, I buried my own messes deeper, the confusing crushes on guys in the locker room that I'd never voiced, the sketches I'd hide under my mattress of faceless figures tangled in ways that scared me. Being gay in Westerville wasn't a death sentence, but it sure as hell wasn't a parade either. So I played straight, laughed at Jake's girl stories, and kept my heart locked tight. It started innocently enough. That pull toward Tom. One humid July afternoon, Jake dragged me to the home gym in the garage, a setup Tom had built himself, weights clanging like distant thunder. We were spotting each other on bench presses, sweat soaking our tanks, when Tom wandered in from work, still in his dusty jeans and flannel, toolbox in hand. "Boys," he said, that gravelly voice cutting through the fan's hum. "Mind if I join? Been a long day hauling rebar." Jake hooped, tossing him a towel, but I froze mid-rep, my grip slipping as Tom's eyes met mine, not Jake's, mine holding just a beat too long. He pumped iron like it was nothing, veins corded along his forearms, shirt straining against his back. I mumbled something about needing water, bolted to the kitchen, heart hammering like I'd run a marathon. From there, it snowballed in stolen moments. Tom started finding excuses to talk to me alone, fixing the fence by the pool while Jake napped off a hangover, asking about my art dreams with a sincerity that made my throat tight. "You've got talent, Daniel," he'd say, clapping my shoulder, his touch lingering like embers. "Don't let this town dim it." I'd nod, cheeks flushing under his gaze, pretending it was the heat. Jake noticed nothing, too wrapped up in texting his latest fling. But I felt it building, this electric undercurrent. One night, after a bonfire where the three of us roasted marshmallows and swapped ghost stories, Tom pulled me aside as Jake stumbled inside for more beer. "You're a good kid," he murmured, stars reflecting in his eyes. Jake's lucky to have you. The way he said it, thumb brushing my collarbone to flick away a smudge of ash god. It was like a spark to dry tinder. By August, the tension was a living thing, coiling in my gut every time Tom walked into a room. Jake announced we were hitting the county fair, but begged off last minute for a double date, leaving me stranded. Stay anyway, Tom offered, casual as pie, firing up the grill. We can watch the game. It was just us, plates of ribs and cold ones on the deck, the TV flickering football highlights. He asked about college, my fears of leaving home, and I spilled more than I meant to the loneliness of small-town secrets, the ache of wanting something real but fearing it'd destroy everything. Tom's face softened, shadows playing across his jaw. I know about hiding, Daniel, he said quietly, staring into his bottle. After Lisa, I shut down, thought I'd never feel again. His hand found mine on the armrest, rough palm warm against my knuckles, and the world narrowed to that touch. We didn't speak, just sat there as fireflies danced, the silence heavier than words. That night, I crashed in the guest room, but sleep evaded me. Sheets twisted around my legs as I replayed the moment. Down the hall, Tom's door creaked, open footsteps padding soft in the dark. My pulse thundered when he knocked lightly, slipping inside with a glass of water. Couldn't sleep, he whispered, sitting on the bed's edge, close enough I could smell his soap, clean and cedar sharp. I shook my head, words failing as his fingers traced my arm. Tentative, then sure. You're not a kid anymore, he breathed, and then his lips were on mine, soft at first, then hungry. Years of restraint unraveling in a kiss that tasted like regret and revelation. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, his breath ragged. This is wrong, he groaned, but his hands cupped my face, thumbs stroking my cheeks. Tell me to stop. I didn't. Instead, I pulled him closer, the dam breaking as we tumbled into each other, bodies speaking what hearts had buried. Morning came like a thief, sunlight slicing through blinds, Jake's laughter echoing from the kitchen. Tom was gone before dawn, leaving only rumpled sheets and a note. Forgive me. Guilt crashed over me like a wave, but beneath it, a fierce glow I'd felt seen, wanted, in a way that rewired my soul. Jake sensed the shift, ribbing me about looking weirdly happy, oblivious to the storm brewing. Days blurred into a dangerous dance, stolen glances over breakfast. Tom's truck idling longer in the drive to brush my hand goodbye. Jake planned a guy's weekend at the lake cabin his dad owned up in Hocking Hills, a rustic spot with a wood-fired sauna Tom had installed years back. Dad's coming too, Jake said, slapping my back. Gonna be epic fishing. Beers. No girls to distract. My stomach flipped. Excitement tangled with dread. What if the spark ignited fully? What if it consumed us all? The drive up was 3 hours of winding roads, windows down, country radio crooning about lost loves. Jake drove, Tom shotgun, me in the back nursing a knot of nerves. They bantered about old fishing trips, Tom's deep chuckle rumbling like bass. But every time our eyes met in the rear view, electricity arced. The cabin was paradise, pine-scented air, lake lapping at the dock, a fire pit ringed with Adirondack chairs. We fished till dusk, bass striking lures under a blood-orange sky, Jake whooping as he reeled in a keeper. Tom clapped his shoulder, then turned to me with a private smile. Nice cast, Daniel. Steady hand. His praise warmed me deeper than the sun. Night fell with stars like scattered diamonds. And after grilling trout and downing a few locals, Jake crashed early, snoring in the loft. Tom and I sat by the fire, embers popping, the lake a black mirror. Beautiful out here, I said, Voice small. He nodded, poking the logs. Reminds me of simpler times. Before everything got complicated. His knee brushed mine. Deliberate. And the air thickened. Daniel. He started. Voice rough. What happened? It can't. Jake, I cut him off. Heart pounding. But it did. And I don't regret it. His eyes searched mine. Stormy with conflict. Then he stood, offering his hand. Come on. Sauna's hot. Clears the head. The sauna's door swung open on heat that enveloped us like a lover's arms. Wood-paneled walls glowing under the single bulb. Steam curling from the stones like ghosts of unspoken truths. Tom tossed a ladle of water over the rocks. A hiss rising sharp and primal, mirroring the rush in my veins as he unwrapped his towel, hanging it on a peg without a glance back. I followed suit, pulse thundering, my skin prickling not just from the warmth, but from the raw vulnerability of standing bare before him, 19 and uncharted. Beside this man who'd weathered storms I could only imagine. He settled on the upper bench, legs spread in easy repose, muscles shifting like carved mahogany, and patted the spot beside him. Sit, he said, voice a low command wrapped in invitation. I did. The cedar hot against my thighs, our shoulders inches apart, the air so thick it pressed on my chest. We didn't speak at first, just breathed in the eucalyptus haze, sweat already sheening our bodies. Tom's head tipped back, eyes half-lidded, a sigh escaping like surrender. God, this hits the spot after a day like today. His arm draped along the bench behind me, fingers grazing my neck accidental. No. The way his touch lingered said otherwise. I swallowed hard, the heat amplifying every sensation, my body responding in ways I'd only dreamed of in guilty solitude. Tom, I whispered, turning to face him, our knees brushing now. Electric. His eyes opened, locking on mine with an intensity that stole my breath. Daniel. We shouldn't. But his hand slid to my shoulder, thumb tracing the curve of my collarbone, and the protest died on his lips as I leaned in, closing the gap. Our kiss was fire urgent, devouring, tongues tangling with the desperation of men who'd waited lifetimes for this. His stubble rasped against my smooth jaw, a contrast that grounded the dreamlike haze. His hands roaming my back, pulling me closer until I straddled his lap, the bench creaking under our weight. The sauna amplified everything, the slap of skin, our mingled gasps, the relentless drum of my heart. Tom's fingers dug into my hips, guiding me with a gentleness that belied his strength, murmuring my name like a prayer, Daniel. God, you're. Words lost to the steam as he claimed my mouth again. I arched into him, hands fisting in his damp hair. The world shrinking to this cedar cocoon where labels dissolved, where father and friend blurred into lover. It built like a crescendo, touches turning bold, his palm cupping me, stroking with a reverence that made me shudder. My own explorations tentative at first, then fervent, tracing the ridges of his abs, the V of his hips. He groaned, deep and guttural, flipping us so I was pinned beneath him on the lower bench, his weight a delicious anchor. Tell me if it's too much. He rasped, eyes dark with need and something softer. Protective. I shook my head, breathless, more. Please. And he gave, slow and deliberate, entering that sacred space with care, our bodies sinking in a rhythm as old as time. Pain flickered, then bloomed into ecstasy, waves crashing through me as we moved together, sweat slick and synchronized, whispers of encouragement blending with moans that echoed off the walls. Release came like a thunderclap, shattering me into stars. Tom's cry muffled against my neck as he followed, collapsing atop me in a tangle of limbs and labored breaths. We lay there after, entwined in the cooling steam, his fingers threading through my hair, lips brushing my temple. "Jesus, kid," he murmured, voice wrecked. "What have we done?" I traced the scar on his shoulder, a construction mishap. He'd once said, and met his gaze. Unflinching. "We lived. Really lived." He smiled then, faint but real, pulling me closer. In that moment, cocooned from the world, it felt like salvation, two souls colliding in the heat, forging something unbreakable. But the sauna's magic couldn't last. The door's latch clicked, Jake's voice calling from outside. Groggy and oblivious, "Dad. Daniel. You guys in there?" Panic surged like ice water. Tom bolted upright, shoving me off gently. Towel snatched in a frenzy. "Yeah, buddy. Just cooling down," he yelled back, voice steady as steel while his hands shook, wrapping around me. I fumbled into mine, heart slamming, the afterglow souring into dread. Jake pounded lightly. "Hurry up. I'm starving." "Pancakes." Tom's eyes met mine, wild, apologetic, mouthing later as he cracked the door, steam billowing out like our secret escaping. We emerged flushed and laughing it off as heat stroke. Jake none the wiser, flipping flapjacks with boyish energy. Breakfast was torture, Tom's foot nudging mine under the table. Accidental brushes that sent sparks up my spine, while Jake chattered about college football tryouts. I nodded along, fork scraping plate, mind replaying every gasp, every thrust, the burn of possession still throbbing faintly. Tom caught my eye across the syrup, a flicker of heat beneath the paternal mask, and I knew this wasn't over. It was just beginning. Back home in Westerville, the cabin's echo haunted us. Jake dove into senior year chaos practices, parties, a new girl named Sarah who batted lashes like butterfly wings. I tagged along, but my focus splintered. Stolen glances at Tom over dinner becoming a currency we traded in silence. He'd linger in the kitchen after Jake crashed, washing dishes while I dried, our pinkies hooking behind the sink like a vow. One evening, rain lashing the windows, he backed me against the counter, kissing me fierce and fleeting, hands pinning my wrists. "Can't stop thinking about you," he growled, nipping my ear. That night, "You're in my blood now." I melted, whispering back promises we'd steal more moments, more heat. But cracks formed. Jake started noticing my distraction. "Dude, you okay? Spacing out like you got girl troubles." I laughed it off, blaming senioritis. But guilt gnawed deeper. Tom pulled back too, eyes shadowed at breakfast, muttering about overtime shifts. A week later, he cornered me in the garage, voice tight. "This has to end. Daniel. For Jake. For all of us." His words sliced, but the pain in his eyes mirrored mine, love, raw and reluctant, blooming in forbidden soil. I stormed out, rain soaking me as I ran home, the 2 blocks feeling like miles of regret. Days blurred into a numb routine. School a fog of lectures and locker room bravado. Jake's arms slung over my shoulders like always, oblivious to the chasm widening beneath us. I threw myself into art club, charcoal sketches turning darker, twisted figures in steam, faces half-shadowed with longing. Tom avoided me, his truck gone before dawn, home late with excuses of site delays. But the pull was magnetic. One crisp October afternoon, Jake at practice. I found him in the backyard shed, tools scattered from a half-fixed mower. He looked up, wrench pausing, and the air crackled. "Daniel," he started, but I crossed the space, fisting his shirt, kissing him with all the fury I'd bottled. He resisted a heartbeat, then crushed me to him, the shed door banging shut as we devoured each other against the workbench, tools clattering like applause. It became our ritual stolen hours when Jake was out, the house a labyrinth of risk. The guest room bed creaked under us. Tom's body a map I memorized, the freckles across his chest. The way he gasped my name like it was oxygen. We'd talk after. Tangled in sheets. Him sharing fragments of his past, the hollow years after Lisa's death. The fear of loving again. The quiet admission he'd noticed me months ago. Like a light in the dark. I'd confess my confusions. The crushes I'd buried. How he made me feel whole. You're not just some kid. He'd say, tracing my jaw. You're everything. Those words wove us tighter. A tapestry of tenderness amid the thrill. Yet the world intruded. Jake's birthday loomed a bash at the house. Kegs and bonfire. Half the team descending. I helped set up. Stringing lights with Tom. Our fingers brushing on ladders. Sparks flying unseen. That night, as music thumped and bodies swayed, I caught Tom watching from the porch. Beer in hand. Expression unreadable. Jake pulled me into a dance with Sarah and her friends, laughing as we stumbled. But my eyes sought Tom's and found jealousy flickering there. Raw and unexpected. Later, amid the chaos, Jake cornered me by the cooler. You and Dad seem tight lately. What's up? My blood froze. Just helping out. I stammered. He grinned, clapping my back. Cool. He's been happier. You know, since you started hanging more. Happier. The word lodged like a thorn. Was I mending him? Or breaking us all? The party raged on. But I slipped away to the bathroom, splashing water on my face. Staring at the mirror's stranger flushed cheeks. Swollen lips from a quick kiss with Tom in the laundry room earlier. A knock. Jake, swaying slightly. Dude, you good? Sarah thinks you're cute. He winked, but his eyes sharpened. Seriously, though spill. You seeing someone? Lie after lie tumbled out, each heavier, until he shrugged. Whatever. Man, just don't ghost me. He hugged me tight. Brotherly. And I nearly cracked. The betrayal a knife twist. Tom found me later on the deck. Party noise muffled. Stars indifferent overhead. We can't keep this, he said, voice breaking the quiet. I whirled, anger flaring. You say that every time, then pull me back in. He stepped close, hands on my arms. Grip iron. Because I love you. Damn it. But Jake. Tears pricked his eyes first I'd seen, cracking his armor. I softened, pulling him into an embrace. Rain-scented flannel against my cheek. Then what? We end it and pretend. He shook his head, kissing my forehead. I don't know, but hurting him. It's killing me. The next weeks were a tightrope. Jake announced his commitment to Ohio State full ride. Scarlet and gray dreams, and we celebrated with a road trip to campus. Tom driving. The three of us crammed in the cab like old times. Columbus buzzed with possibility. Buckeye banners fluttering. But tension simmered, Tom's hand on the gear shift brushing my knee accidentally. Jake's chatter filling the silences. At the stadium tour, standing on the field under roaring echoes from speakers, Jake slung arms around us both. This is it. Guys. Family forever. Tom's face paled, and I forced a grin. Stomach churning. Back home, the dam burst. Jake stayed late at a team dinner, leaving Tom and me alone with pizza and a movie, some old western. Forgotten fast as clothes hit the floor. We made love on the living room rug. Slow and worshipful, his body arching under mine. Whispers of "I need you" blending with the film's gunfire. After, curled on the couch, he stroked my hair. What if we told him? The idea hung. Terrifying. Exhilarating. He'd hate us. Tom sighed. Maybe. Or maybe. Understanding. Hope flickered. fragile as moth wings. But fate laughed. The following Friday, post-game high, Jake burst in early from a party. Sarah in tow, giggling about a wrong turn. We were in the kitchen, Tom at the sink. Me perched on the counter. Mid-kiss. His hands on my waist. The door swung open. Time slowed. Jake's face shock. Then horror. Crumpling like paper. What the fuck? Sarah gasped. Hand to mouth. Tom jerked back. Face ashen. Son. Wait, but Jake's eyes blazed. Betrayal etching deep. You. With my best friend. My dad. He lunged, shoving me off the counter. Fist connecting with Tom's jaw in a sickening crack. I scrambled up, grabbing his arm. Jake. Stop. It's not, he wheeled on me. Tears streaming. Not what? You're fucking my father. Get out. Both of you. Chaos erupted, Sarah fleeing. Jake storming upstairs, slamming doors like gunshots. Tom slumped against the fridge, blood trickling from his lip. Eyes hollow. I told you. He whispered. Defeated. I knelt, cleaning his wound with a dish towel. Rage and sorrow warring. We fight for this. For us. He cupped my face, thumb smearing red. How? He's my blood. The house echoed with Jake's sobs. A dirge for the family we'd shattered. The fallout hit like a Midwest blizzard swift. Unrelenting. Burying everything in white-hot silence. Jake ghosted me, texts unread. Calls to voicemail. His Instagram stories scrubbed of our faces. School became a minefield. Hallways parted as he passed. Glares from teammates like daggers. Whispers slithering. Traitor. I ate lunch alone in the art room. Charcoal blackening my fingers as I drew fractured portraits, Tom's bruised jaw. Jake's wounded eyes. Home was worse. Mom noticed my hollow cheeks, chalking it up to boy troubles. But Dad's quiet concern pierced deeper. You can talk to us. Son. I couldn't, not yet. The shame a chain around my throat. Tom tried bridging the gap, knocking on Jake's door with apologies wrapped in fatherly pleas. But Jake barricaded himself, blasting metal through headphones, emerging only for meals snatched in silence. One night, I snuck over after dark, scaling the fence like a thief, tapping Tom's window. He pulled me inside. Room dim with moonlight, enveloping me in a hug that smelled of sawdust and sorrow. He won't even look at me, Tom murmured, voice cracking as we sank onto his bed. I held him, stroking his back, the man who'd seemed invincible now fragile in my arms. Give him time, I soothed, though doubt gnawed. We made love quietly, reverent, no frenzy, just connection. His tears salting our skin as he whispered, Don't leave me. Never. I vowed, meaning it bone deep. But time stretched cruel. Thanksgiving loomed. Mom insisting on Harlan's for tradition turkey. Pie. Forced cheer. I begged off sick. But Tom texted, Come. For me. The drive was agony. Leaves skittering like fleeing secrets. Jake answered the door. Face stone. Sarah absent, dumped in the scandal's wake. Dinner was a farce, plates clinking like accusations. Mom's chatter filling voids. Dad's eyes darting between us. Under the table, Tom's foot sought mine. A lifeline. Jake's glare pinned it still. Halfway through, he shoved back his chair. This is bullshit. How can you sit here like nothing happened? Tom's fork clattered. Jake, please. We need to talk. Jake's laugh was bitter. Talk. About you screwing my best friend. The guy I trusted. He turned on me. Venom spitting. You planned this. Seduced him for kicks. The words landed like blows. I stood. Chair scraping. No. It just happened. We fell. Jake cut me off. Voice rising. Fell in love. Spare me the rom-com crap. You're both liars. Mom gasped, hand fluttering. Dad cleared his throat. Son. Language. But Jake stormed out. Truck roaring to life. Tires spinning gravel. Tom followed, calling into the night. But the taillights vanished. Silence smothered us. Mom's eyes wide. What on earth? Tom sank down, head in hands. It's my fault. All mine. The confession spilled then, halting Tom's voice steadying as he explained the affair. The love. The regret. Mom's face softened to shock, then tentative understanding. Dad nodded slow. Life's messy, Tom. But family's worth fighting for. They left us to it, hugging awkwardly, promising space. Alone. Tom and I cleaned shards of plate Jake had swept in his fury, tears mixing with soapy water. He's right, Tom said, scrubbing a stain. I betrayed him. I gripped his wrist. We both did. But love isn't betrayal. It's brave. He pulled me close, forehead to mine. Then let's be brave. We started small letters to Jake. Slid under his door, Tom's full of paternal ache. Mine raw with brotherhood lost. No reply. But he stopped locking his room. Counseling followed. Tom dragging Jake to sessions with a therapist in Columbus. Me tagging for family ones when invited. Dr. Ellis was a no-nonsense woman with kind eyes, guiding us through the wreckage. Jake's abandonment fears from his mom's death. Tom's guilt layered thick. My own terror of rejection. Boundaries. She stressed. And honesty. Jake lashed out at first, you stole my dad. But cracks showed, a nod when I passed apologies. A hesitant hey in the hall. Winter thawed into spring. Ohio's fields greening like tentative hope. Jake aced finals. Sarah circled back as friend. Not flame. Tom and I navigated the minefield, no more sneaking. Just honest moments, walks by the creek. Hands brushing. Kisses chaste but charged. One May evening. Jake texted, pizza. My treat. Heart pounding. I arrived to find him and Tom at the kitchen table. Boxes open. Awkward grins. Sit. Jake said, sliding a slice. We ate and fit small talk about OSU. My portfolio acceptance to Pratt in Brooklyn. Then, quiet, I get it now. Kinda. Hurts like hell. But you're happy. Both of you. Tom's eyes glistened. I nodded. Throat tight. You're still my brother. Jake. Always. Healing wasn't linear. Fights flared, Jake skipping a double date night we planned. Me snapping at Tom's overprotectiveness. But we built pride flags on Jake's truck. Family game nights with inside jokes. Summer returned. Heat waves mocking last year's blaze. Jake's graduation party swelled the backyard. Laughter ringing true. As dusk fell, Tom pulled me aside by the pool. Jake's voice carrying from the grill. Proud of you, Tom murmured, kissing me soft. Public for the first time chaste. But ours. Jake glanced over, hesitating, then smiled faint. Progress. Yet shadows lingered. My move to New York loomed. Pratt's skyline calling like freedom. Tom drove me to the airport. Jake shotgun. The cab heavy with unsaid goodbyes. At security, hugs crushed Jake's fierce. Don't be a stranger. Asshole. Tom's lingered. Whisper hot. This isn't goodbye. It's see you soon. Tears blurred as I walked away. Their figures shrinking. But the burn in my memory wasn't pain, it was the forge that shaped us. New York hit like a fever dream, skyscrapers clawing the sky. Subways rumbling secrets. Pratt studios alive with paint-splattered dreamers. I dove in. Charcoal giving way to oils. Canvases blooming with saunas and shadows. Lovers etched in steam and starlight. Text from home anchored me. Jake's OSU exploits. Tom's cite photos with captions like, "Thinking of you." Weekend calls stretched hours, Tom's voice gravelly over speaker. Jake crashing in with roasts. The three of us laughing like fractures mended. But distance amplified ache. Nights alone in my walk-up. I traced the ghost of Tom's touch, wondering if love could bridge boroughs and states. Fall semester blurred, critiques sharp as knives. A cute barista with inked arms flirting over lattes. Guilt nipped was I betraying. I confided in a dorm mate. Alex. Out and proud with a lip ring and zero filters. Long distance is war. Babe. Fight or fold. His advice stuck. I booked a train home for Thanksgiving. Heart pounding like freshman year. The Harlan house glowed festive. String lights twinkling. Jake scooped me into a bear hug at the door. Brooklyn's made you soft. Tom lingered behind, eyes devouring, pulling me into a kitchen kiss, once alone hungry. Homecoming. Missed this. He growled, hands framing my face. We tumbled to the guest room later. After pie and football. Bodies reuniting with familiar fire. Whispers weaving plans, visits. Maybe me summering back. But Jake's growth showed edges. Over turkey. He grilled me on city life hookups. Parties tone probing. Seeing anyone. Casual. But loaded. I shrugged. Nah. Focused on art. Truth half spun. The barista fizzled. Tom's pull gravitational. Jake nodded. But later. Porch beers in hand. He leaned in. Dad's been off. Worried about you leaving for good. His eyes searched. Brotherly concern laced with old hurt. We're good. Right. No more secrets. I clapped his shoulder. Swear. You're stuck with me. Relief softened him. Stories flowing till frost nipped our noses. Winter break brought storm literal. Snow blanketing Ohio white as Tom's flannel when he proposed a cabin getaway. Just us three. Like old times. But better. Jake agreed. Wary but willing. The drive up was sing-alongs to Springsteen. Hocking Hills dusted sugar. We chopped wood. Flames crackling stories. Jake's first college crush, a teammate. Confessed shy? My city escapade sanitized. Tom's quiet pride in us both. Sauna night arrived, unspoken door hissing shut. Towels optional. But we kept them. Sitting cross-legged on benches. Steam veiling vulnerability. Jake broke ice. Remember last time? Thought I walked in on ghosts. Laughter nervous. Then real. Tom cleared throat. That night. It scared me too. Losing you. Jake nodded. Eyes on stones. Scared me more. Felt like you picked him over me. Tom's voice thickened. Never. You're my son. Daniel. He's my heart. I held breath. Jake met my gaze. Yeah. I see that now. Just. Don't fuck it up. Hugs followed. Awkward in heat. But sealing family reforged in sweat and truth. Spring bloomed revelations. Jake came out over Easter brunch. Casual as coffee, seeing that guy from Chem Lab. It's real. Tom's fork paused. Then smile bloomed wide, pulling him into a crush. Proud of you. Kid. My turn. Me too. Bro. Tears glistened. Mom dabbed eyes. Dad toasting to brave hearts. The air lightened. Closets airing secrets long buried. Yet my future loomed. Pratt's junior year meant internships. Manhattan's pulse quickening. Tom and I navigated monthly flights. His construction conferences syncing with my breaks. One June weekend. Central Park picnic, him in khakis. Me sketching skyline. Fingers laced. What if I moved? He mused. Casual. Shock rippled. Here. For me. He nodded. Thumb stroking my knuckle. For us. Jake settled. Life's too short. Hope surged, tangled with fear uprooting his world for mine. Back in Ohio, Jake's reaction mixed. Dad in New York. Wild. But if it makes you happy. Supportive. But probing. You sure? City's a beast. Tom's resolve held. Job hunts began. Blueprints for a life intertwined. July heat wave mirrored 15th blaze. But now we embraced it backyard barbecues with Jake's boyfriend. Micah. Laughter-free. One night. Stars wheeling. Tom and I slow danced on the deck. Jake watching from hammock with a grin. Sap alert. He teased. But eyes soft. August tested steel. Tom's offer came foreman gig in Queens. Relocation package gleaming. Celebration dinner, steak. Toasts. Jake raising glass. To second chances. But packing unearthed ghosts Lisa's photo in Tom's wallet. Her smile wistful. She'd like you, he said, voice soft. Strong. Like her. I traced the frame. We'll make her proud. The move was chaos. U-Haul rumbling cross-country. Jake trailing in his truck. Pit stops for greasy diners and heart-to-hearts. New York swallowed Tom horns blaring welcome. His first subway ride a comedy of errors. We crashed in my tiny apartment. Boxes stacking like Jenga. Micah visiting with pizza. Welcome to the jungle. Jake joked over video. Now Ohio bound for summer job. Settling wove us tighter. Tom commuting to sites. Me to classes. Evenings tangled in sheets. His snores rumbling against my back. Challenges hit his homesickness for quiet fields. My deadline stresses clashing with his long hours. Fights flared. You don't get it. Daniel, this city's eating me. I'd snap back. Then go home. But makeup sex sealed truces. Apologies whispered in dawn light. Thanksgiving 2017, our first hosted. Table crammed with Alex. Micah flying in. Jake road tripping with stories. Turkey golden. Laughter bubbling toasts to survival. Love's alchemy turning pain to gold. As plates cleared, Tom squeezed my hand under table. Eyes promising forever. Jake caught it. Winking, gross. But cute. Years folded like origami intricate. Unfolding into shapes we'd never dreamed. By 2020, pandemic lockdowns turned New York feral, sirens wailing isolation. Tom's sight shuttered. My studio classes Zoom blurred. We hunkered in the one-bedroom we'd upgraded to in Brooklyn. Brownstone Creek's our soundtrack. Tom took up woodworking in the living room. Crafting shelves from scraps. His hands, once wielding hammers, now gentle on dovetails and my skin. I painted feverishly. Canvases of quarantined longing, figures in steam. Separated by glass. Yearning bridged by touch. Jake. Back at OSU virtually. Crashed our couch fortnights. Micah too. Turning lockdown into family fort movie marathons. Sourdough fails. Deep dives on grief and growth. Tom's vulnerability bloomed then. Nights when city hum mimicked his unease. Miss the stars. He'd murmur. Window gazing. I'd pull him to bed. Mapping constellations on his chest with fingertips. Whispering. They're here. In you. Love deepened. Roots burrowing past passion to partnership. Grocery runs masked and masked. His coffee black as mine sweet. Arguments over takeout yielding to compromise. Jake proposed to Micah over FaceTime ring simple. Silver, and we cried. Planning a postponed wedding. Tom's toast slurring proud. To loves that endure. Post-lockdown. Life roared back. My first gallery show in Chelsea burned marks. Saunas and secrets splashed bold drew crowds. Critics murmuring raw intimacy. Tom stood beaming in chinos. Jake and Micah flanking. Champagne flutes raised. A buyer snagged the centerpiece. Us. Abstracted in steam. Titled Forge. Sold. The gallerist said. Tom's whisper, like my heart. Pride swelled. Validation washing old doubts. But scars itched. Jake's wedding neared. June 2022. Ohio venue lush with lilacs. Rehearsal dinner crackled tension, Micah's conservative folks eyeing Tom and me. Whispers of unconventional. Jake pulled us aside. Ignore him. You're my family. Ceremony day dawned golden. Under oaks. Vows exchanged tear-streaked. Tom's hand in mine through it all. Reception danced wild, Jake twirling Micah. Us slow under lanterns. Jake cutting in for a bro hug spin. Thanks for sticking. Dan. Words healed deepest wounds. My career ascended. Commissions from queer mags. A residency in Provincetown. Tom thrived too, promoted to supervisor. Bridge over the East River his crown. We bought a co-op in Williamsburg. Exposed brick and skylights. His workshop in the basement. Anniversaries marked milestones. 5 years with a tattoo, his initials inked on my rib. Mine on his forearm. DBH for Daniel Burns Harlan. A nod to futures unspoken. Yet 2023 brought thunder. Tom's doc visit, routine check. But results loomed, fatigue he'd blamed on stress. Tests probing shadows. Biopsy confirmed, early prostate. Treatable, but terrifying. World tilted. I held him in the exam room. His grip bruising. We'll fight. I vowed. Voice steel. Jake flew up. Micah too. War room in our kitchen, chemo plans. Second opinions. Tom's humor held. Guess I'm building my own bridge now over this crap. Treatments blurred months, nausea nights. My sketches bedside vigils. Jake's calls daily lifelines. Remission whispered spring 2024. Scans clean as fresh canvas. Celebration rooftop, skyline glittering. Toasts to warriors. Tom, thinner but fierce, pulled me close. You saved me. Every day? Jake grinned. Sap. But truth. That night, bodies rejoined gentle. Gratitude in every caress. Now, October 2025. 10 years since that sauna door sealed our fate. Jake's a coach at OSU. Micah teaching high school art, echoes of us. Tom's gray deepens. Lines etching stories. But his eyes still storm blue. Holding mine across diner booths or gallery openings. We mentor, queer youth center workshops. My talks on hidden loves. His on fatherhood's bends. Last week. Cabin revisits, sauna steaming. Jake and Micah joining. Towels on. Stories looping back. Burns still. Jake teased. Nodding at the scar on Tom's jaw from that long ago punch. Tom laughed. Arm around me. The best kind. Reflection creeps in quiet moments. Like now. Rain pattering our Brooklyn window. Tom's head on my lap as I sketch idly his profile. Eternal subject. 10 years. From boy fumbling in steam to man anchored in love's steady current. The burn lingers. Not pain, but imprint, how one touch ignited truths. How betrayal birthed forgiveness. How forbidden bloomed sacred. Jake calls it our origin story. Micah rolling eyes fondly. We've hosted Thanksgiving's hybrid. Ohio flights weaving families. Mom's pies rivaling Lisa's recipes Tom finally shared. Challenges persist, Tom's knee from old sites aches rainy days. My deadlines devour weekends. Jake's coaching stresses spilling over calls. But we've learned, communication's art. Not instinct. Therapy lingers. Annual check-ins. Dr. Ellis retired, but her echo in boundaries. Pride parades march rainbow rivers. Us hand in hand. Jake waving flags with Micah's kids wait. No. Their dog. But whispers of adoption swirl. Last Pride. Confetti raining. Tom knelt in our co-op, not proposal. But vow renewal. Rings weed engraved, from ashes. We rise. Tears mixed glitter. Jake filming covert. Bursting in cheers. About time. Old man. Today, gallery buzzes for my retrospective, etched in heat. Saunas spanning decades. Visitors tracing our path. Tom hovers proud. Jake texts from game sidelines. Kick ass. Bro. As crowds thin, he pulls me to the centerpiece, that first canvas. Reborn. Still burns. He murmurs. Lips brushing ear. I turn, kissing him deep. Public unheeding. And it always will. Life's not fairy tale, no ever after without effort. But in this weave of chosen family, reclaimed secrets, we've forged gold from fire. Daniel Burns. Once shadowed teen. Now artist. Lover. Survivor. The sauna didn't just happen. It happened to us. Burning paths to light. Epilogue whispers in autumn, leaves crunching underfoot. Central Park paths gold-veined as veins in Tom's hand. Laced with mine. We've walked these woods a decade. From tentative post-move strolls to now. Gray threading my temples too soon. His laugh lines deepening mine. Jake's wedding anniversary coincides 5 years. Them renewing in a quiet Ohio courthouse. Us Zoom toasting with mimosas. Your turn next, Bash. He ribs. Micah's eye roll fond. Career crests. My book's out, Steam Confessions. Memoir illustrated. Saunas as metaphor for queer awakenings. Signing Swarm. Tom beside. Signing husband in Sharpie beside mine. Publisher parties glitter. But home calls co-op sanctuary. His latest shelf holding my awards. Our rings glinting under lamp. Health shadows fade. Tom's annuals pristine. My yoga taming stress knots. We travel light, Provincetown summers. Painting in plein air. His fishing rod beside easel. Cabin pilgrimages annual. Sauna ritual now, with Jake's tales of team dramas. Micah's recipes steaming alongside stones. One evening. Fire pit crackle. Jake confides dreams, adopting. Building legacy. Like Dad did with us. Tom's nod thick. You already have. I squeeze his knee. Burn familiar, not just memory. But momentum. As night deepens. Tom and I slip away. Porch swing creaking confessions. Regret nothing. He asks. Voice rumble soft. I shake head. Tracing his wedding band. Everything led here. To you. Kiss seals it. Slow as embers. Heat eternal. The story doesn't end, it evolves. Page turning infinite. From that Ohio sauna. A boy's spark kindled men's fire. Illuminating paths for sons. Lovers. Selves. What happened burns still. Not scar, but star guiding through storms. Whispering, love. Once lit. Never fades.